Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to talk to you today about being an activist. Today though, we're going to be talking about how to be an activist from beginner to advanced. Some things to note first. You don't have to do all of these. You can pick which ones work for you and ignore the ones that don't. Some of these also might not be what you think about traditionally with activism, though some are, like going to marches and rallies, but other forms of activism are just boycotting wasteful things. You'll see what we're talking about a little bit later. And also something to note is that being an environmentalist simply just means caring about the earth. You don't have to have a degree or be in a scientific related job to do any of these things. With all that out of the way, let's just go ahead and jump right in. The first category we're going to be talking about is beginner ways to be an activist. Starting with something simple like picking up trash when you see it. You don't have to actively go do beach cleanups or city cleanups, but if you're out walking your dog, you're at the park with your kids, you see some trash, just pick it up. I think especially if you're like at the park with your kids, what a great way to set an example as well. You can also eat less meat. You do not have to go vegan or vegetarian. You can start with meatless Mondays, you could do meatless or vegetarian vegan breakfasts, but just simply try to cut a little bit of meat out of your diet because that is one of the most polluting things that we do as individuals. You can also encourage others to make these beginner changes, something as simple as influencing your household, your coworkers, or some friends. Something really important to do, especially if you're new to zero waste or eco living, is to get educated and with some good sources. Don't like quote Fox News or Wikipedia, but look at some scientific journals, maybe something that's been peer reviewed. This could be anything, like I said, from like scientific journals. You could read books, watch movies, listen to podcasts, watch videos on the internet, but of course be wary with stuff you find on the internet. You shouldn't even trust me. Actually, you should. I'm pretty reliable, you say. But given I'm not a scientist, it doesn't hurt to do your own research as well. Something super simple that's actually a really effective form of activism is signing petitions. This is a great way to show governments, companies, and so forth what we want as like a big population, and it takes less than a minute to sign. The next one is to just simply refuse single-use plastic you don't need. You can refuse straws at restaurants. If you're getting some meal to go and they're trying to give you plastic cutlery, just say no. Or if you're at an event, they're handing out flyers, whatever. Refuse things that you don't need. Next is to recycle and recycle properly. I know plenty of people are probably already recycling, but recycling properly is the key. I have a lot of resources on this channel talking about recycling properly. They will be linked above and below. But ultimately, be sure that you're recycling based on your area because every area throughout the world, even within the US, is very different. So if you move, make sure you're learning the new rules. Even if you've lived in the same area your whole life, you still might not know all the rules. When in doubt, call your recycling facility. Next, use Ecosia instead of Google. This is a free app or web extension that plants one tree for X amount of searches. I never remember to research how many trees they plant per search. But it's a search engine that works exactly like Google does, but instead of being Google, they plant trees, which is great. You can also conserve water and conserve electricity. I have videos on both those topics as well. They'll be linked down below if you would like more info on that. Of course, you're already here. You're following eco creators. If you're not subscribed, the button is right down there. And don't forget to share their work as well. I encourage you to watch and consume content from a plethora of eco creators from different ethnicities, from different countries, from different walks of life, and share their work as well. Spread that word. And then the last one in this category is to lead by example and practice what you preach. If you are, talking to people about how bad climate change is, but then you immediately go eat a steak, get in your diesel truck, and then go on a cross-country flight, that's a little extreme. If you're telling others to quit using plastic, maybe you should quit using plastic as well. But also, you don't have to say anything. Just lead by example. People at work or school will see you having your reusable water bottle every day, and they might get curious and start asking questions. Moving on to some intermediate ways to be an activist. You can start spreading the word about environmental issues and have those hard conversations with friends, family, coworkers about things like climate change, plastic pollution, and so forth. You can also get on social media and start making your own content. You don't have to start a YouTube channel or anything crazy, but if you want to make your own content, that is great too. You can vote. I put this in intermediate because, not everyone has an ID to vote, not everyone's registered, not everyone has a car to get to the place to vote. So start there. Start by registering to vote, which I found out in my last video about activism that apparently it's really difficult to vote in the United States. So I guess because it's so difficult to vote in the United States, I put it in this category. But I encourage you to get registered to vote and vote in every election that you can. You can also write letters or call elected officials. I have 2 videos now talking about that. They'll be linked above and below. You can start composting or gardening. Now, how is this a form of activism? Because this is a great way that we can make a big change. And this is just one way that we can boycott our current food systems, which really are not sustainable. If you don't have the space to garden though, the next one is to join a community garden. I think this is a great way too. If you've never gardened before, you can meet some people who might be able to lead the way and teach you how to garden. And instead of shopping brand new this year, shop secondhand instead. And kind of along those lines is learn not to impulse buy as well. But shopping secondhand is a great way to quit supporting those wasteful brands, as well as keep stuff in circulation. We don't have to use brand new materials every time we buy something. Shopping secondhand is just a really, really great way to have an eco life. Or if shopping secondhand is not your jam, it should be. But shop local instead, especially instead of supporting wasteful companies like Amazon. Learn more about why they're so bad in this video. And kind of similar to that still is to declutter, and instead of throwing away, donate your items instead. Obviously, if something is legitimate trash, like an old receipt, throw that away. But if you have clothing that you no longer like, donate it instead of throw it away. A couple more along those lines, instead of throwing away, is to upcycle something. I have a lot of examples around my house. I've turned old wood into home decor. I've turned some t-shirts into this rug right here, and so forth. And then also learn to repair instead of throw away. A lot of Denahi's toys get ripped up really easily, so I've been repairing them so that he can use them longer. If you haven't noticed yet, I still haven't said you have to buy anything to be an activist and to live zero waste. Until now. This is why I put it in this category, is because buying zero waste swaps, it matters, but it really is not like the best thing that we can do for the planet, because the best thing that we can do is to use what we already have. But if you want and you're looking for some great swaps, now's the time to do it. And the intermediate level of activism. So this is things like reusable grocery bags, reusable coffee cup, reusable water bottles, things that we're going to consume a lot of. And instead of consuming them, let's boycott those industries and stick to the reusables instead. And then the last one in this category is to switch your banking. If you didn't know, a lot of banks will invest your money into oil and coal. So I guess the first step is to see where your bank is actually investing, because if they're already investing in green energy or, you know, something that's not destroying the planet like fossil fuels, then stick with them. But a lot of big banks do invest your money in fossil fuels, so it's probably best to get your money out of there and into a bank that's doing something better for the planet. Now moving on to advanced ways to be an activist. To be honest, I don't know if I've even done any of these advanced ones. So if you're doing them, good for you, because some of these are out of my comfort zone. They're a little bit challenging, but let's just get into it. First is to organize a beach, city, or park cleanup. Now you don't have to do like invite the whole city, but you can invite your coworkers. Like, hey, we're gonna meet at this park from 2 to 4 p.m. to pick up some trash. Something as simple as that. You could attend an already scheduled rally, march, or strike in your city, in your state, or so forth. You can participate in Fridays for Future. Now this is something aimed mostly toward youth, like students, started by Greta Thunberg. And this is simply not going to school on Fridays to show to the schools and to our government that we shouldn't be studying for our futures when the governments don't care about our futures. If that's something you're interested in, you can do that. You can also donate to eco organizations if you have the money available to do so. Or if you'd rather donate your time, you can volunteer with local nonprofits or other eco organizations in your area. If you have the means, you can quit driving a car. This could mean walking, biking, taking public transportation, or just starting a carpool with people you work or go to school with. If your school or office place doesn't already have recycling in place, you can start a recycling program. And I have a video about that as well. I have done it twice, once at a school and once at an office. So I'll talk more about that in this video. If you're in school, you can start a zero waste or an eco club to encourage students to live more eco-friendly lives. You could also give a presentation, something about climate change or plastic or recycling, to your classmates, coworkers. You can switch to renewable energy if you aren't already. If your region has the option for you to get out of being a house that's relying on fossil fuels, instead you can switch to something like solar or wind energy. The next one is to attend public town halls or city council meetings. A lot of the times they will offer these to be open to the public, so that way that they can get input from the citizens. And then the last one is to build a community. This is going to be a community of like-minded people. It could be like physical, like your neighbors or so forth, like people actually in your city, or it can be an online community. I've actually started one. It is a Facebook community. It is always linked in the description of the videos. And it's kind of small right now, but it's geared toward like sharing what eco swaps have worked for you this week or this month, or, you know, small creators finding ways to work together. But use this kind of like a support group, encourage each other, and do the work of all these different ways to be an activist together. That's it. That is how you can be an activist as a beginner or as someone who's been doing activism for a long time. I guess theoretically you could jump right into the advanced ones, but it might be best to work your way up from the small ones to the bigger ones. If I missed any ways that you are an activist or you want to be an activist, leave them down below for the rest of us. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really does help support this video and this message. Again, you don't have to go out and do anything crazy to be an activist. You can do small things by simply boycotting wasteful practices, because that still counts as activism. But thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. I really appreciate your time. If you're new here and you haven't hit subscribe yet, talk about all sorts of things zero waste, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste and practical ways to be an activist, like this video. I actually have a video similar to this about how to be an activist from home if you want more ways to, you can do this stuff just from the comfort of your living room. I'll leave it linked above and below. I don't know if I have any more cards up there. And if you want to support me in another way, I have started a Patreon. I would really appreciate your support over there if you can, but if not, I totally understand. And a big thank you to my current patrons. It means a lot that you support me in that way. That's all that I have for today. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, remember that your small actions have a big impact in the long run. Bye, guys. Oh, I didn't take a thumbnail for the last video. Especially, shopping secondhand is just a really, really great in the intermediate step of activism. Oh my gosh, you're being kind of loud.